So today I have a very quick video for you to share some stretches that you should be avoiding if you're experiencing sciatica and also piriformis syndrome. So sometimes you may only experience sciatica or piriformis syndrome, other times it's both. So I want to share some stretches that you should just avoid. They're not really going to be too helpful to you, and there are many other modifications that are way better. So the first stretch I want to share is a very common stretch that people do, and that is the knee or chest stretch. So I want to share with you here how the stretch is done and why it's not beneficial. So some people do this stretch standing, other times, you may be doing a few stretches for sciatica and then you start to bring your knee to your chest and back again. Sometimes you see that you bring both knees towards your chest. So if you notice here, notice how this stretch is putting my lumbar spine into that flexion. And it's that flexion that we want to avoid when we're experiencing sciatica. Even if the stretch feels good, but you just want to avoid putting your spine into that flexion, because that can cause compression at the disc. And it may feel good during the stretch, but when you get up and start walking around, you may notice that the pain is coming back again. The second stretch I want to share that is really common for sciatica and piriformis syndrome is the pigeon stretch. So if you're really flexible, you may be doing this stretch better than me, but I'm going to try to do it here. So this stretch is meant to stretch the piriformis muscle. I have seen some people hold this stretch for a really long time. And if you have piriformis syndrome, which is that pain in the glute here, along with sciatica, this stretch can make it way worse because it can be just too much for the muscle, that pull. In addition to that, it can aggravate any symptoms of tingling, numbness. So it's better to just avoid this stretch. You can do the modification, which is the 90-90 stretch. And that's when you are forming a 90-degree angle like this. So this is a much better stretch, which also targets the glutes and the piriformis, but it's way more gentle. So it's not an aggressive stretch. And you can do the other side. And if you want to target the piriformis, again, there's so many other different stretches. You can do the seated piriformis stretch. You can do it on the floor, on a chair. So these are just the common ones that I have noticed from my experience that they're not that helpful. The third stretch is anything with hyperextensions. So maybe sometimes you notice in yoga how they overextend your lower back and you get into that, that bridge position. But you may notice a lot of times it's just that hyperextended stretch position. The problem with it is if you have any pre-existing conditions like a disc bulge, spinal stenosis, this can really put so much pressure on the discs. And if you have a disc bulge and say it's facing forward, putting your body into this position can really push that material out, which can make the pain worse. So I do want to add that if you want to work on thoracic extensions, which definitely can be good for your middle back, you want to do them preferably on a stability ball, which can help support the lumbar spine and get you focused on the thoracic area of the spine. You can also use a foam roller and you can place it below your thoracic spine area, but you generally don't want to be putting your lumbar spine into that hyperextension. Overall, you just want to avoid any stretches that put your body into that hyperextension, hyperflexion. For all the stretches you want to do, you want to maintain that stable spine and avoid any aggressive stretches for the muscles as well around the hips. So just keep those things in mind. You could check my video that I made recently about the sciatica, the best sciatica stretches. So I would just stick to those. And I'm sure that those will help you get relief. If you have piriformis syndrome or sciatica and you need more help with stretches, I highly recommend that you grab the piriformis stretching guide. So this PDF includes the best stretches and how to do them, and also the worst or just bad stretches that you should avoid if you're in pain. So I'll leave the link below. Make sure to grab the PDF and follow the guidelines there.